And welcome back again, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Lost Podcast of Titan, a father and son journey through the sci-fi series that unite our generations, where, we watch the old stuff, the interesting stuff, the uniting our generation stuff, and we provide commentary. We watch it, go on tangents, and now we get to watch Star Trek, where they get to pretend to be gangsters, which means I think there was a gangster movie being shot on the lot somewhere nearby, and they decided to just mosey on in.
Mosey?
Well, I mean, there's a what was the Western Star Trek episode?
That comes along. Spectre of the Gun in third season. God
See?
help us.
Yeah. I literally think it's like, wait, they're shooting a Western, or they're shooting a gangster movie. Let's just aliens. Aliens like to be gangsters. All right, go for it. Give me a script. 10 minutes. Chop chop. But I'm interested in seeing the episode.
Oh, really? Okay. This isn't necessarily one of my favorites, but I was thinking back on it some time ago, and I had some sudden thoughts about it, so potential for some decent discussion here. I'm going to bounce some concepts and such off your head later on.
Oh, well, I look forward to it.
Oh, but before we get started, I do have to clear the air between us and ease my conscience.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to say that you were right and I was wrong.
About what?
I
know that, generally, yes, but...
Thanks. In Yellow Submarine, it was indeed Ringo who did the Born Lever Puller line instead of John.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I remember, I think the discussion we had at that time was that he was the least interesting Beatle, so he had to have at least some, good lines in there. Also, we do have an email.
Oh!
Yes. This is from the Lazy Fucking Cat in Texas. Greetings, father and son. This is Lazy Cat from Texas again. Wanted to say I'm still enjoying your podcast show. Looking forward to your commentary on future things. You gentlemen are fun to listen to while I tinker around online. The tangents are the best part. By the way, I think that's the general consensus.
Consensus,
yeah. Are the best parts, yes. Today I am dropping you an email targeted to the son of the father who has never seen Old Yeller. I'm hoping you have read the book. No. All the while we are the subject of literature and adapted films, have you ever read Where the Red Fern Grows? Yes. You're missing out. No. Yes, I know this isn't related to Star Trek or sci-fi, but the father of the son brought it up, and I agree with him. You would cry, sir. No, I would not.
Yes, you would.
I did not cry at Where the Red Fern Grows. I would not cry in the rose. I would not cry in the car. I would not cry near or far. I do not like shitty dog stories, sir. This is why I'm a cat person. Purr, purr, purr. Okay?
Okay. Well, actually, Old Yeller is not a shitty dog story. It was actually a well-written dog story. I read the novel quite a bit as a youth and enjoyed it.
The dog gets shot in the end. That's it. I saved you however many hours it would take to read the book. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and Where the Red Fern Grows, both dogs die. And they have to be buried. And it's a red fern that grows. It's a red fern. No. If you want a good animal story, read Watership Down.
Well, yes, I will admit to that. That is an excellent animal story, but I know there's a sentimental bone in your body somewhere, and one of these days we'll find it.
Yes, Watership Down.
No, I mean sentiment, something that comes along that makes you cry.
Oh, Is my heart this cold and dead?
Yeah, I sometimes wonder, but I mean something that makes you cry other than having your toes hammered.
Don't. I've already had enough issues lately. Not so much toes, but other body parts.
Oh,
I have
okay.
a cut open finger, which was it's fantastic.
Well, appreciations to your friend for the email. Glad that we've got. Well, always happy to acknowledge a regular listener, and believe you me, I suspect there will be tangents in the future.
There'll probably be tangents, yes. But we can't give her too much credit. She is, after all, a lazy fucking cat in Texas. But if y'all are not lazy
nice
fucking
one.
cats in Texas, you can join us freely.
And you can email us at lostpodcastoftitan at gmail.com.
Yeah, Lost Podcasts of Titan. Wait, hold on. I have to wait. Damn it. Hold on. Let me just double check. Lost Podcasts of Titan at gmail.com. That is our email address. It's also in the description of our episodes. Feel free, email us, join in the discussion. For now, go ahead, put us on pause, and bring up the Star Trek episode, A Piece of the Action. On your favorite physical media or streaming service, and just come back to us when you're ready. Well, welcome back. We'll go ahead and get started in 3, 2, 1, and play. Zoom. Well, I mean, yes. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Ouch.
Wait, what?
Huh? What?
Just stop. Stop. Yeah. Wait, who's
Kirk,
the asshole? Wait, who's the asshole in the back? Get back to work. Trying to get his face on camera with a smug
Really?
look on it. With a yeah.
I'm wondering if Kirk would Kirk like to go back and start all over again?
Oh Lord. What if they were busy? Like,
Really?
sir, there's a fatal disease. That smug ass crew member behind you is a walking time bomb of viral shedding.
He's trying to steal the scene.
Oh,
We have to attend to him.
I don't mind a extra trying to be a little extra, but outright trying to steal a scene.
He was too obvious.
Yes. And look, this guy's wallet is. Oh, never mind. I thought that was his. It's like the Game of Thrones episodes where there's a Starbucks coffee cup on the table.
So this culture's been contaminated, and they're trying to try and fix it. Just the three of them.
Exactly.
That's right. Beam them down in the middle of the street.
In the back Paramount lot where they're shooting a gangster movie.
That would have been interesting if the three of them had been run over by the car.
Yellow fire hydrants? What kind of bullshit is this?
I don't know. Just like those guys.
Hey, wait a minute. Are they different caliber guns? Because that one has a giant barrel opening, the other one doesn't.
Admittedly, my expertise with Thompson submachine guns is regrettably limited, perhaps for this type of job. I should read up on firearms, I guess, before trying to analyze Star Trek episodes.
Oh, we're not gonna like these Tommy guns were also in an episode of Gunsmoke, where that Tommy gun on the
No,
left had a long and storied career and was retired sometime in the 80s.
no, Mr. Smart Pussy. I'm not going to try that.
Ah, Lord. Zoom? Where's the zoom? And wata! Starring William Shatner, who really wanted to do a gangster accent. And so far, all Scotty has been doing is like he's just hanging out on the bridge, looking in his little tube. I wonder if that's all he has today.
Well, at least he hasn't been accused of murder this time around.
Oh Lord! Oh Jesus fucking Christ! Yeah, you see what I mean? The one on the left is kind of smaller. The one on the right is kind of bigger.
Actually, I don't see much of a difference.
The diameter of the opening of the guns, the barrel.
Yes, and like I said, I don't see that. Well,
Yeah, aha! I'm not insane.
well, that's a good idea. All our listeners, write to us at lostpodcastoftitan@gmail.com. Is Jeremiah insane? I don't know nothing. I ain't seen nothing.
Meh.
Pull your gun on him.
Also, I'm just amused that everything is so fucking gangster here. Everything.
Well, oh, you mean as opposed to a regular gangster situation, you have the gangsters and you have the regular people. Here, everyone is.
Everyone is a gangster, and everyone is the most gangster they can be. You know, I ain't talking.
You can kill them later.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, I mean, what were the other options, really? We'll send him a card. Some flowers. Come on, Spock. You're not aware of this book?
It's been standing there, obviously, right next to you.
I mean, it's from the same time period as the cars you're so fond of. Or actually, no. It's not the... Oh my god. Did they really?
So this is one of the points of contention that I have here. A Federation landing party, an away team goes down to a planet's surface,
And they just happen to have a book of
have
Chicago
a book,
mobsters.
Chicago Mobs of the 20s. And the Iosians were able to translate the language. And
then just adopt the culture altogether?
then, yes. What were the Iosians before the Horizon arrived? Were they blank? Did they not have a culture all their own? And yes, no, that was not a rhetorical question. I was throwing that in your direction.
I did,
Oh, what? I'm sorry. What, did you want?
I'm kind of flabbergasted, really. Like, it's been a while. I remember there being the gangster episode of Star Trek. I don't remember the details, and now that I've seen that, this is just, oh my god. But, like, what are the other options? I mean, they brought down a book of the Chicago mobsters of the 20s. So what if they had, let's see, okay.
If they brought down I, Claudius by Robert Graves.
See, that would also be good.
But, I mean, why... You and I are part of a culture. And some aliens arrive.
Yeah.
And they happen to leave a book behind. And after we go to all the trouble of translating it, we see, oh, this sounds interesting. We'll suddenly start doing this.
Like, what if the book left behind was some sort of, like, cheesy, tawdry, bodice ripper romance?
That would be interesting. See,
and 1,000 other slash fictions are now born. Not the bag. Not the bag.
even that Royal House of Hanover had the bag. That's Anthony Caruso, by the way, as Oxmix. And yes, he had been in a few gangster shows and movies.
Listen. If someone offered me to be a gangster, I'm taking it.
Oh, I want to see you play a gangster.
Oh, well, this is tragic. Check off. Scan for human life and beam it on the ship. Yeah. Credits.
They're all human, though.
They're Iosians.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the Iosians are close enough to humans to where it would make that kind of
background
move.
guy, turn around.
And they switched the blue shirt guy to a administration shirt guy now.
I wonder what they have their paper currency backed by. Because, I mean, would the book go through the explicit detail of saying, and the dollars were backed by, I think, was it gold back then? Probably gold. Was backed by gold, etc., etc.
Well,
or was it simply said that, you know, these dollar bills made of paper with numerical denominations. They are of value. The equivalent is about, you pay $1 and you get food for a day, etc., etc., and they just simply take it as face value.
Perhaps. But, see, you just reminded me of another point.
Yeah, okay.
These guys, they're driving around cars,
Yes.
they're carrying 38s and submachine guns.
And they have pinball machines.
And they have pinball machines. That is one hell of a detailed book. But even if the book Chicago Mobs of the 20s had illustrations, pictures of gangsters with machine guns, would that automatically tell you that A, that's a weapon, B, how to make it, C, how to manufacture the ammunition?
Shut up. But yeah, no. I mean, I can see how in the passage of the books it can explain that they had 20 or so guns and they were able to take out this other gang. So they can infer that this is a weapon. But
actual manufacturing construction?
Yeah, I don't think they do that. This is as complicated as Diamondback from Cerebus Comics. Okay, stop it. It's the most pretentious piece of shit.
I've actually got a Diamondback deck somewhere. Did you know that?
Have you ever played it?
No.
You want to know why?
Because there's no Diamondback Solitaire.
Well, also because the Diamondback game is fucking stupid, and I don't understand why. I like Cerebus, I really do. I don't understand why it was that he decided to break for half a comic or a full comic and make rules and have yeah.
Well, I would rather have read about Diamondback than sit through another Quidditch tournament in a Harry Potter book.
Oh, it's tradition. I wonder if Harry's going to win.
No, they start playing Quidditch in Harry Potter, and that's where I usually got up and got something to eat, or if it was a book, I'd just skip ahead to the next section.
Spoiler alert, Harry wins. Go Gryffindor. Wait, actually, I don't think there is a Quidditch a Quidditch match in the last book.
No, things are kind of busy in the last book.
This is why you just open fire indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Oh, what if they left behind a book about King Arthur's court?
Okay. They're that success, but the question is, what were the Iosians that they were so susceptible to that sort of outside influence?
Well, what if they were at a point in their society where their culture was stagnant? I think during the fall of the Roman Empire or something, there was waves of we should all be Greeks, we should all be Egyptians, etc., etc.
That would have to be a heck of a stagnation. I would have liked to have known more about the history of the Iosians.
Shut up, Uhura.
The question is, Uhura, what were you doing on that frequency?
Uhura's on every frequency.
So Jojo Krako is the big boss of that territory?
Of the South Side territory.
So that means he's the Mojo Jojo?
Shush.
You're just mad because you hadn't thought of it.
This is true.
That's Vic Tayback as Krakow. He's the actor that people went to when they couldn't afford Sheldon Leonard.
And has he played mob bosses before?
Considerably.
There. Get him some ribs. Get him some beer.
That must be interesting.
Also, okay, I'm a little perturbed that of all the roles in the we have for women in this show, in this episode, right now, the two main ones have been desk candy for Krakow and desk candy for Oxmix.
Yes, I mean here we get this one person's. I mean that's her major role right here. She walks across the room and starts rubbing Kirk's shoulders. In a little bit, Krakow will say something, and she will go back to the other side of the desk.
Wait, why does the planet have to be united? What if...
Thank you. Kirk just pulled that out of thin air. I mean, the contamination has been done.
Exactly, yeah.
And it seems to work. Nope, see, and there she goes back to where she was. End of roll. She picks up her paycheck at the end of the day.
Boom. Oh, wait. So hold on. Who plays the role of the cops? The cops had to have been in the Chicago book of the 20s.
Yes, there had to have been police.
And governments and judges. Because they're wait, hold on. This is falling apart. Oh, my God.
Exactly. You're seeing a point that I'm kind of building up towards here. We're not seeing actual gangsters. We're seeing parodies of actual gangsters. Whoever wrote Chicago Mobs of the 20s was not a very good author. Was, actually stunk. We only got a slice of the reality and a poorly described one at that. We have 1960s television version of the Chicago gangs. Now, between the time that this episode was made and now, we have had, say, the Valachi Papers, Serpico, The Godfather, the movies like Goodfellas and such. Mm-hmm. Now, what if this episode, the depiction of gangsters, was a lot closer to what we now have seen in gangster films? Imagine, say, if Mario Puzo, who wrote The Godfather, had written this episode.
Or imagine if Quentin Tarantino wrote the episode.
Yeah, it would. I think it would be a lot more brutal. You'd get Oxmix or Krakow saying that they were going to have to deal with the crew of the Enterprise. It's only business. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. They'd send up. Or Kirk would end up with half of Spock's body in his bed, for want of a better image.
He would have his ears, and that's it.
We're really...
Also, so the book also gave list of nomenclature as well, apparently.
Actual included maybe snippets of actual dialogue between characters. I once read a book about the motorcycle gang and street gangs of the 1950s, and it provided examples of the dialogue for that. But what I'm saying is that we should have had a much more accurate representation of what the gang situation was like really
Could
like.
we do that on like TV back then?
Maybe one of the most violent shows of the 1960s was the TV. In fact, it was also, I think, maybe a Desilu, The Untouchables.
Well,
The
yeah,
TV
but,
series.
yeah, but that's not that violent.
It was back then. It was considered very violent. There were people getting machine gunned practically every episode.
Yeah, but were they main characters?
Eventually, some of them were. This episode, as it stands, is, slightly amusing, but it could have been.
Oh, what? Okay, imagine that sort of conversation you had to have. You left behind a book, and because of that, a culture for the past 100 years has descended into violence, anarchy, torture, extortion, all the bad parts of the 1920s Chicago mafia scene.
What if the book left behind? I have a book. In fact, if I turn right now, I can see it, called Paris and the Terror. Paris during the French Revolution. What if that book had been left behind?
Oh, that would have been good. Well, I mean as an episode.
as an episode, yes, not as a society. Completely collapsed. Or Ayn Rand's We the Living, which was set in post-revolutionary Russia.
Let's not give Ayn Rand any money, please.
No. Yeah.
I've never met a more pretentious fucking woman who's done more damage to the fucking planet than that woman.
These guys have got to stop bringing phasers down with them every time they beam down.
Or just start opening fire.
Yeah. It's actually very philosophical.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
The little girl in red, by the way?
Let me guess, she's also been in some Star Trek episodes.
No, there is no background on her. We know her name, but that's it.
She's got some good legs.
We know the name of the actress, but that's about it. As far as previous career or anything, zilch.
Previous and post career?
Yeah.
She's a secret housewife somewhere in Northern California. Every now and again, she'll regale her kids with stories about how she once was an extra on Star Trek, and they don't believe her until the episode comes on and they see her in the background, and they're like, "Oh my god!" I actually had a friend in. Damn, she was in some. I think it was a made-for-TV movie with Angelina Jolie. Women in Old West or something like that. And the thing is like she told me she was in this movie and what scene you might be able to see her in, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cute. Then I go to it and like, Lord help me, no, she was right there, and now you can't unsee her. Well, I can't unsee her anyway. No one notices the ears. They're always worried about the ears in every other episode.
Yeah.
How do you know it's the stuff? Wait. Also, bullshit. Like, I've driven clutch and or manuals, and that's never worked the first time. Forward or back.
See, maybe that's that same ice cream cart that we spotted
Oh,
earlier in the episode, and no one's ever pushing it. And I'll bet it has no ice cream in it either.
What are you talking about? It has plenty of ice cream. What if the author wanted to put the Bible behind instead of like Chicago of the 1920s, but they realized in the middle of writing the episode there was no fucking way in hell they could get that on TV, and so they changed it and did it about the gangsters.
Well, you noticed when we saw the inside of the book, it is a Bible.
Yeah, it looked like a Bible, yeah. What? Never mind.
Thank you. I mean, the contamination has already been done. They were looking for, Vito Andolini.
But does this involve the kid? There's nothing.
Oh, God. See, I'm not having as much of a problem with this as you had with Wolf in the Fold.
Listen,
but this could have been
Wolf
a
in
much
the
better
Fold.
episode.
Wolf in the Fold pulled out Jack the fucking Ripper in the last 10 minutes of the episode. That episode could go fuck itself. We're right here, and the gangsters are front and center with the insanity. So, I don't want to hear it.
And the guards just didn't notice two guys with machine guns pulling up down the street.
Mm-hmm. Daddy, Teddy, I hurt myself?
And they're going to leave the guns behind.
Of course they're going to leave the guns behind.
Nice facial reaction on that guy.
It's a facial reaction. Kill. I'm done with this shit.
What do you mean you're done with this shit?
There's already contamination. I've already been kidnapped, what, twice?
Shouldn't he be more worried about the guys who are down flat on the floor there?
See, I'm surprised the women don't want a quote unquote a piece of the action. Like, she pulls out the gun, points it to her boss, and is like, "I'm not going to be your desk candy no more."
And he knows enough about machine guns to know about bolts.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, let's say that you're the captain of a contemporary naval vessel.
Okay.
Would you know the sound of an arquebus being prepared if one was?
I have no idea what an arquebus is, but
There you go. No, let him play around with the buttons. Go ahead.
It depends which way it's pointed.
Yeah, it's true.
Scram, get out of here. Nah.
Honor among thieves.
And when did he learn how to speak like a Chicago's gangster?
Yeah. They've already interfered.
Yeah. I think I would, if the crew of the Enterprise became mob bosses, I think I'd be more scared of Spock as a mob boss.
Yeah. Or Uhura as a mob. Or Sulu as a mob boss.
Well, they would all be, like, scary as fuck, but I think the most scariest would be Spock. And the one I'd least be afraid of is Kirk at the moment.
He's improvising here, and improvisation is never pretty.
Beam us up. With arm photon torpedoes. And this is when his men open fire on them.
Yeah.
And this is when his men open fire. Oh, Jesus. Really? What kind of fucking mobsters are these? Oh, well, they're shitty mobsters. Okay, yes.
Yeah, like I said, this isn't really an accurate depiction of gangland, of gangsters of that period. This is a very poor parody. This is more like this is more like a performance of Guys and Dolls. And now, how would he know that? That's pretty big, assumption.
What rights does he have? Are they the actual, like, the rights of 1920s America, or is this the rights of mobsters as defined by the Book of the Mobsters 1920 Chicago?
Rights of mobsters, like you said, or like you pointed out, we've apparently eliminated cops. Although we know about arrest and courts and such, apparently there are no police or prisons or anything here.
Or what if the book had a line of something that said, like, the best mobsters never got arrested by the police and never saw a day inside court, never saw a day inside jail. And because they're all quote unquote the best mobsters, they decided just not to bother with the cops because what would be the point anyway?
I could see that happening here.
This is what you get for not opening fire. Wonder what happened to the desk candy.
She got some new wrapping and went somewhere else.
She's on her
She,
coffee break.
she rifled the desk and is out shopping.
Well, who runs the shops? So in order for the
Well,
mobsters to work, they need somebody to exploit. So do they have a permanent underclass, or maybe they do it in turns? Like for these 10 years, these people are the mobsters, and everyone else is quote unquote civilians, and then they sort of, you know, change roles.
well, there are people, just like in the actual situation. You had shopkeepers, farmers, factory workers, and stuff, and the gangs would assume control over them, consume control of all production. But at least, but going back to the subject of cultures being affected by books, at least it was Chicago Mobs of the 20s, and it was not a cookbook saying how to serve man. But here's another example. This entire situation involves a civilization being affected by literature brought down by an extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can
Yeah.
you think of a historical example? I'm giving you a big clue.
Wait. Okay. What was the question again? Hold on. What?
Can you go back into history and think of
Yeah.
another example of an entire culture being affected by the appearance of
Of modern day civilization, like there's the
no, no,
cargo
not
cults.
necessarily. Well, because, but I was thinking, you have a non-human intelligence producing some literature, which will then effectively guide and direct a civilization.
Well, like a religion, I guess.
You were close. I was thinking of the Ten Commandments.
Well, I mean, it's religion, yeah. Well, wait, what are you talking? It's the 15 Commandments. Remember, Moses dropped a tablet. Also, did the commission exist in 1920s Chicago?
The commission was created because, as a result of the gangs, it was organized to combat the gangs.
There's only one desk candy. Where's the other desk candy?
Still out there shopping? Or jump to another gang.
She has her first line in the entire episode if she's talked over. Photon
but they
torpedoes.
but they still had the power to transport a person from one location to another.
Yeah.
Only one carload of hitmen?
Yeah.
I mean, Sonny gone to the mats with a lot more guys.
What if the mobs are the government, so they're limited in the number of actual manpower? It also explains why things aren't so well run, because, by the time somebody gets in charge, they're killed.
That might explain why there are only a few carloads of hit people. How big are these territories?
Also, they're idiots.
Well, yeah, but you were going to
He's letting
elucidate.
him
Call the
call this-
Enterprise.
Yes. What happened the last time he called the Enterprise? Wait, were the phasers on stun on the ship?
Yes, didn't you hear earlier in the episode? Well, we may have been talking then,
I
but
call
earlier in the
bullshit.
episode, Spock ordered Scott to convert a ship's phaser bank to stun setting. But that's the extent of the armed response that the gangs can produce. Why haven't the people revolted? Or
Well, they're on it. They're in on it too.
I mean, revolt and replace these bosses with themselves as bosses. But what I was going to say before the phasers hit, how big are these territories? If they can just drive across town.
Well, apparently there's a few dozen on the planet, but it seems okay because we have at least 3 bosses here, like
Yeah.
sizable bosses that they're at least like eyeing each other up, and so maybe all the cities are kind of divvied up like this, and that this swath of territory outside the city that's kind of uniform.
I was just wondering, what's the total population of the planet?
A lot less than it would have been if they had a bodice ripper romance going on. God damn! Speaking of, holy shit!
How is it a criminal organization if the entire planet accepts it?
Yeah, like I mean,
Okay, I don't like I wouldn't like living on Iosha, but that is the way the culture is. I mean, you don't like. There's a problem with criminal organizations running things,
Yeah.
but it has been
Yeah.
argued that
Yeah.
Las Vegas, under mob control, was a lot better organized and profitable than it is now.
well, it's because at the worst that can happen in today's Las Vegas is you get fired or you don't get reelected. Where in the mob boss days of Las Vegas, you would get tortured slowly to death and buried alive, or you'd get tortured very slowly and then buried alive in the desert. Like there's a stark difference.
But I mean, did they? All right, did the Federation realize what had happened on Iosha? And, oh my gosh, we were responsible for the contamination of a culture. For one thing, first off, how did they know that the Ioshan culture was contaminated? Second,
if the horizon blew up.
yes, but that wasn't, the Ioshans were not responsible for that. The horizon apparently blew up afterwards.
Yeah.
So they go to Iosha
Yeah.
and say, oh my gosh, there's been contamination. These people are gangsters, quote unquote. How did they know? How did they know that? Maybe that's just the way they talked. And they find out that there has been contamination. I need to go back to the beginning and see how it was determined that the culture was contaminated in the first place.
Well, actually, hold on. That is like the first 20 or so seconds of the episode. 1 second. Let me just.
Yeah,
right.
special feature for our viewers in this episode.
All right, so here we go. Enterprise is flying in. Approaching Sigma. Check off. Uhura, I've received vocal contact. An official station. Oh, okay. I think I understand now. The planet has been in contact with a station, a Federation station.
Oh, a monitored broadcast from the planet.
Yes, because the first transmission from the boss came to the Enterprise as relayed from a Federation station. So that's probably how that got about.
But still, the contamination took place a century ago. Sending one starship and beaming 3 people down there was not going to fix things. Also, it would have been best to maybe set up an observation post and closely monitor.
But those always work well.
Well, better than what happened here.
That's fair enough. Yeah.
Yes, there was contamination, but if the society works in spite of the contamination, then it would have made matters even more complicated and grievous by trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And once again, I say, what were the Iotians before the contamination? Perhaps they were a stagnant society. Nothing has stopped the Enterprise from going in, the Return of the Archons and stuff like that. This is a stagnant culture, Kirk will explain. We've got to unstagnatize it. What you're going to do is contaminate it.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I don't think unstagnatizing a
no, that's
culture,
it's not a word.
Well, no, that. But also, I don't think that would be. If their whole point is not to interfere, then I think we've seen instances in Star Trek where a civilization is quote unquote stagnant, and that is the way it was. They didn't try and jumpstart, because then how do you define the culture as stagnant? It gets into some very muddy territory.
Yeah, that's defining. Okay, let's go back to the culture in Return of the Archons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a stagnant culture, or a culture that, according to Kirk's point of view, was stagnant, unproductive. But it had been in existence for quite a lot of time. Same with the people of the planet that was ruled by Vol, the lizard-headed computer. All right, it was limited and such, but it worked. The people were cared for. The people were fed. Mm-hmm. Just because the Enterprise was in trouble was no justification for overturning an entire civilization.
Exactly.
And even though you have, we'll touch upon this late in the final season of The Next Generation. There's a planet colonized by humans, and due to circumstances following the Dominion War, that planet is now in Cardassian space, and the Cardassians, with a considerable right, think I recall, claim the planet for their own. And the Federation goes, oh, horrors, no. We can't let that planet fall under Cardassian control. But the episode, I believe, ends with the people on the planet saying, wait a minute. If the Cardassians will agree to let us remain as we are and continue, as we've been doing, then we have no objection to being under Cardassian control. It might not be, the solution might not be to the Federation's liking, but if all parties are agreeable and if the system works, then where is the problem? Of course, I may be shooting myself in the hiney here, and it's going to bite me. It's going to get infected later on. But
well, I'm always interested in and it's explored sometimes in Star Trek, where a civilization is just under, like, they're about to hit space travel, proper space travel, and all of a sudden they find out that they are within this territory. Like say for example, okay, so pretend for example we have a race that is analogous to the Klingons, and they are in the middle of the Federation territory. What does the Federation do with them? They're very warlike. Their culture is they do not accept treaties. They are the superior race. They just, they'll shoot anything that moves. That is their whole culture. Like, how does the Federation deal with that? The Federation is clearly higher technology advanced, all that such.
You're asking, do they try to project their own ethos?
Yes, but that's interfering with that with that planet's culture.
Yes.
So
and like you said, what is the Federation going to do, especially if that culture is about to make its first ventures into space?
Oh no, I'm saying it has ventured into space.
Oh, it has ventured into space.
Yeah, like they're able to get to warp 1. They don't have phasers, they have high-powered lasers. They don't have photon torpedoes, they have at best they have conventional nuclear warheads. And they're just like, we're going to take over this area, and we're going to keep going, and we're going to expand because, at the risk of angering anyone, we need breathing room, quote unquote. So what does the Federation do?
Try to work out some sort of compromise. And
there is no compromise.
And hope for the
compromise
best.
does not exist. Their whole society is non-compromising. This is how they got to where they were. Hell, it could even be that there were several dominant species on that planet, and this is the only one left because of that ethos.
Okay, let's say that you and I are part of the Federation. We're exploring civilizations and such. We come across this almost pre-space travel planet. It has several societies, different political systems and such like that, different, and they are at war. In fact, we have come across this a couple of times in Star Trek. War between several civilizations on the planet. Now, are we going to step in and try to stop the war, or do we sit back and let one civilization on that planet wipe out the other and see who comes out on top before we make contact? What do we do? Where are we drawing the line here?
Yeah.
And
I think we've made a more interesting episode.
Yeah, I think we have. Maybe a bit too long to fit into an hour. But I mean, they're always sending diplomatic missions to try and calm down wars between societies, bring about, negotiate peace treaties and such like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've always been blessed by success. I think they've gone about it with a really heavy hand. Do you remember? You've seen the original Day the Earth Stood Still, haven't you?
Yeah.
the explanation that Klaatu gives at the end before he departs is that they are not concerned with how people on Earth conduct their business as long as it remains on Earth. But Klaatu and Gort came to Earth because they realized that humans were beginning to make the first inroads into space, and they had weapons of mass destruction, and they wanted to ensure that human aggression remained on Earth. And if humans tried to bring aggression out into the wider universe, then they would be dealt with. That the people of Klaatu's society have established a police force to act.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should have seen an emphasis more on that in the Federation. The Prime Directive forbids interference with the normal development of a planetary culture, excusing for the moment that what determines what is a normal development for a planetary culture. But it would step in to prevent aggression from spilling over to other planets. But let me go back a sentence or two. What if the normal development of a planetary culture goes against what the Federation would consider beneficial for the universe at large?
Yeah.
If I'm making myself clear here.
Well, see, the thing is that if they don't deal with it at the source, then it's just going to continue to spill out into the greater space.
All right, let me throw out another example here. The Borg.
Yeah.
Everyone recoils in horror at the idea of being assimilated to the Borg, but the Borg has a working system. Assimilated cultures, as I believe 7 of 9 pointed out, end up being collections of the best parts of individual species and races.
What if there was a race that purposely wanted to be assimilated by the Borg?
I can imagine. I can think of some races that would prefer that. If a planetary race was starting to work with eugenics or something like that, improve their own species through artificial enhancements, and then along comes the Borg. Hey, we've got this down to a fine science, and the people in that society say, "Okay, come along and assimilate us."
Also, what is that line? Hold on. We will make your technological. Wait. What is the full line of the Borg? Hold on.
We are the Borg.
Borg quote.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, you're biological and technological. Okay, I thought for a second that they had culture in there as well, and I thought to myself, well, what kind of culture does the Borg have?
I mean, apparently we have not seen examples of Borg art or Borg literature.
Or a Borg comedy.
Maybe we just don't get the joke.
The fact that all their ships are cubes are actually part of a joke.
Well, now, it's interesting to note that the Borg do have a symbol.
That's bullshit.
Well,
that was during the bad era of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Thank you very much.
During the Dark Ages, but the Borg are eventually the Borg may assimilate a society so geared towards culture and artistic expression, and they've turned that into a survival trait that it would influence the Borg to start developing similar characteristics. How did the Borg, in fact, we're going off on a serious tangent here, but how did the Borg develop in the first place?
Me and my friend came up with an idea after, I think, First Contact or something. Basically, in the first experiments with transwarp drive, the Federation sent a science ship with a transwarp drive. They turned it on, and they ended up not only on the other side of the galaxy, but also a few hundred, if not a few thousand years in the past on a very hostile planet that forced them to basically cybernetically enhance themselves in order to just survive, period. And as a result, over the ensuing centuries or millennia, they basically, in order to survive, had to assimilate and make a kind of collective, and then they just sort of left and started going. By the time they left the planet, they kind of forgot how they got there.
Okay, I think I've seen variations of that. I was going to say that the Borg tend to resemble insect societies like bees, ants, social societies. Now, let's say bees and ants have not demonstrated any form of art or artistic expression, at least none that we can recognize.
Well, they do a little dance, usually to show where the flowers is, but flowers are.
What?
You didn't know that?
No.
A bee will dance.
Oh, that's to communicate. That's language. That's to communicate to the other members.
What is communication but the art of the mind made manifest?
Okay.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll leave you.
Coward, chicken.
Actually, what's next? Hold on, what's next?
The immunity syndrome.
Which one is this? A gigantic energy-draining space organism that threatens the galaxy. Oh no. That doesn't sound good. Oh no. Let's see. Private war.
Be optimistic.
Return to tomorrow. Let's see. Force of patterns of force.
That's the Nazi episode.
That's the Nazi episode. By any other means, the Omega Glory. I don't really recognize most of these shows. Well, there's Assignment Earth, but
Yay!
Boom. But we'll go ahead and leave y'all there. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode, and we will talk to y'all again next time.
Behave.